What's going on? I want to hit y'all with some news that's going on around the world right now. Hang on. We'll talk about Palestine, pro-Trump Arab American group, and it changed its name after Trump speaks with Netanyahu at at this particular conference about what's going to go on with peace negotiations. So let's listen to this.
President, given what you've said about Gaza, did the U.S. send troops to help secure the security vacuum?
As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do what is necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over that piece. We're going to develop it, create thousands and thousands of jobs, and it'll be something that the entire Middle East can be very proud of. But everybody feels that continuing the same process that's gone on forever, over and over again, and then it starts, and then the killing starts, and all of the other problems start, and you end up in the same place, and we don't want to see that happen.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East. And
so I was watching this and I was taking some notes and taking inventory of everything that we know history-wise with this Palestine conflict with Israel. I know people how they feel about this this ongoing territorial dispute. The things I know is that Israel has always been pushing their border out so they can take more Palestinian land. The Palestinians feel their land has been imposed on, and which I believe is true to an extent. And the Jews that live in the land of Israel, what's known to be Israel, believe they have a religious right there. Both people believe they have a religious right to be there. Then it also doesn't escape history that the land was granted after World War II to the Jews, and there's always been a territorial dispute as it pertains to this, both on a religious and an objective reality. And it's a spiritual fight. So in the last couple of years, we've seen the conflicts get ignited from October 7th, from when Hamas attacks Israel. And we've seen nothing but conflict since then. They've been trying to broker peace for at least 6 months between the Biden administration and now with the Trump administration trying to solve this problem. And we also have to take into account like all of the protests that we saw in America that was pro-Palestinian. And I think Columbia University is about to get investigated, and they're going to round up some people the same way they did the January 6th thing. So in this situation, the idea, the conversation about peace and it actually taking place, no matter how it looks, there's this pro Trump Arab group that changed its name, in the course of all of this, kind of a rebrand, so to speak. And it came from this guy, Bishara Bahbah, chairman of the group formerly known as Arab Americans for Trump, said during a phone interview with the Associated Press on Wednesday that the group would now be called Arab Americans for Peace. So it appears that the presence and conversation and dialogue involving Trump and the potential chance of a U.S. occupation has had some impact on the willingness to go to conflict with the opposing Palestinians. So a lot of people were running around here, in high spirit, in high protest, and now the people that were being protested on behalf of, being the Arab American, being the Palestinians, now they have to really sit down and consider what would peace look like and what would the process entail. So let me finish playing this.
And maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble.
He has a different idea. And I think it's worth paying attention to this. We're talking about it. He's exploring it with his people, with his staff. I think it's something that could change history, and it's worthwhile really pursuing this avenue.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So one of the biggest issues that I care about as it pertains to, you know, U.S. diplomacy is foreign policy, and foreign policy is what keeps conflicts manageable. Because you can't solve everybody's problem, and everybody's culture is different. It's not rooted the same way as it is over here in the Western world. But the likelihood of peace happening in that region without U.S. influence is slim to none. So the willingness of the conversation and dialogue to progress to this point is still something that we've seen in the past, but the personality type is what you need to pay attention to, regardless of how you might feel about Trump and his professionalism or lack thereof for some cases. And but you know what? The United States is a bully. Keep that in mind. And Israel is an extension of the US's bully power. We've had too many yes men, I believe, as presidents to just maintain the status quo. And that's why you're starting to see a lot of these foreign policy conversations and budgets and stuff that's getting unearthed, because they've only been in office under 100 days, really under 3 weeks. And these are the type of conversations that are taking place. And we have to really kind of like mark this as a moment in history, that there's a lot of cooperative dialogue taking place that leads to potentially solving problems. Now, whether it happens or not is something else, but we need to start making note of these moments. So when we have something so we have a reference point to reflect on. So when we get ready to move forward, we can have, the conversation that goes with change, and to see if they can actually follow through, because a lot is taking place in the last couple of years in this particular region. But the difference is this is the first conversation that I've paid attention to and heard where the probability or possibility of a U.S. occupational force being on the ground to secure a U.S. interest is a real thing, because they're speaking in a way where they want to control the land, and have equity stake in the region. You're not going to do that without an occupational force. So I'm telling you that, pay attention to it. And these stories are going to keep amounting, and we are better served by understanding how this stuff lines up down the line strategically in foreign policy as far as the U.S. is concerned. So just wanted to drop that nugget with you guys and see what you think. Leave it in the comments. There's been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Thanks.